Haryana, India, the night of August 23, 2001. A peaceful countryside where vast rice fields stretch out in the night wind. But no one expected that. Right in the majestic home of a powerful family, a terrible tragedy was about to unfold, a case that would shake the whole of India for many years to come. Former politician Relu Ram Poonia's family was considered a model of success, wealth, and happiness. However, behind the seemingly peaceful door, conflicts over wealth, fame, and family relationships were brewing. And it was his youngest daughter, Sonia, who would become the central figure in an unprecedented tragedy in Haryana's history. That fateful night, 8 family members, including parents, siblings, and even young grandchildren, were brutally murdered with iron rods. The perpetrators were none other than Sonia and her husband, Sanjiv Kumar. Why would a daughter commit such a crime against her own flesh and blood? What was the cause that pushed a prestigious family into the abyss? And what secrets were hidden behind closed doors? Before embarking on the journey to discover the whole truth, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the thrilling cases and profound life lessons that we will explore together. Karkota Town, Haryana State, India, early 2000s. Here, the family of Relu Ram Poonia is considered a model of success in the community. Mr. Relu Ram, 64 years old, was once an influential politician of Haryana State. He came from a poor farming family, but thanks to his extraordinary determination, Relu Ram gradually built both a political career and an impressive fortune. The family home sits on a plot of land measuring more than 2,000 square meters, surrounded by lush gardens and rice fields. Locals look on in admiration. The Poonia family has it all: power, money, and honor. However, behind this seemingly perfect picture, smoldering cracks have long since begun to appear, involving property, inheritance, and the personal choices of its members. On the night of August 23, 2001, 8 members of the family were murdered. They were Relu Ram Poonia, 64, father, the head of the family, a strict man but respected by the community. Sonia Poonia, 60, Relu Ram's wife, gentle and loved by her children and grandchildren. 3 sons, the main heirs of the family, all living with their parents. 2 grandchildren, innocent, aged only 6 and 8. A close relative visited the house on the day of the murder. This was an unprecedented family massacre in Haryana, not only because of the number of people killed, but also because of the blood relationship between the perpetrator and the victims. Sonia Poonia, 24 years old, Relu Ram's youngest daughter. Well-educated, brought up in a traditional family, but rebellious and stubborn. Her family strongly opposes Sonia's relationship with Sanjiv Kumar, believing that he is not well-matched. Sanjiv Kumar, 26 years old, comes from an ordinary family in a neighboring village. Not rich, has no political status, is considered unworthy of Sonia. Feeling despised and humiliated by Poonia's family many times, Sanjiv harbors deep resentment. The marriage between Sonia and Sanjiv was the biggest trigger that led to the case. When Sonia's family learned that she wanted to marry Sanjiv, they strongly opposed it. They even threatened to cut off ties and disinherit Sonia. Under pressure, Sonia left home to follow Sanjiv, cutting off contact with her parents for a long time. Those cracks seem to have faded when Sonia and Sanjiv returned to make peace with their families. But behind the promise of reunion, the resentment never subsided. Sonia felt rejected, deprived of her place in the family, and a desire arose in her heart to regain it all, both love and property. In Haryana, family honor is paramount. Marriages that are not suitable for each other are often strongly opposed. Relu Ram Poonia, as a politician, is under even more pressure from public opinion. For him, it is an insult to his honor for his daughter to defy advice and marry an unworthy man. From here, the conflicts deepen. Sonia feels deprived of her rights as a son. Sanjiv feels humiliated by his wife's family. Meanwhile, Sonia's brothers fight over the inheritance of a property worth millions of rupees. making any family conflict irreconcilable. From the outside, the Poonia family still appeared to be a symbol of success. A big house, a prestigious family, a prosperous life. But deep inside, greed, pride, and hatred had been building up like a time bomb, and that bomb would explode on the night of August 23, 2001, the night when 8 lives were taken, and the name Sonia Poonia became a symbol of the most terrible betrayal in the history of Haryana. After Sonia decided to marry Sanjiv Kumar despite her family's objections, the relationship within the Poonia household was severely fractured. Relu Ram, with his political pride, saw this act as a betrayal of honor. Sonia's brothers considered Sanjiv an outsider and did not accept his involvement in property matters. Some relatives even urged Relu Ram to cut ties to save face for the family. The conflict did not stop at family affection, but turned into a conflict of property interests. The real estate and agricultural land worth more than 20 million rupees were at the center of the dispute. Sonia believed she was being excluded from her inheritance, while her brothers insisted that she had lost her status after disobeying her parents. Neighbors recounted that about a month before the incident, a big argument broke out when Sonia visited home. Sonia demanded a share of the property between herself and Sanjiv. One of her brothers banged on the table and shouted, "You have chosen your own path, don't come back and ask for anything." Relu Ram was so angry that he chased Sonia out of the house. The feeling of being abandoned and humiliated pushed Sonia further away from her family. In a conversation with a close friend, Sonia once sobbed, "I just want to be respected. Why do my own flesh and blood treat me like a stranger?" While Sonia was suffering from the rift in their relationship, Sanjiv Kumar secretly harbored a deep hatred for his wife's family. He was publicly humiliated by Poonia's family in front of relatives because of his humble background. Friends said that Sanjiv repeatedly said drunkenly, "They will pay for looking down on me." Once Sanjiv went to Poonia's house with Sonia to reconcile, but instead of accepting, the family continued to taunt and threaten him. From that day on, he became taciturn, spoke little, and had thoughts of revenge in his mind. According to the investigation records, a week before the incident, Sonia and Sanjiv started shopping for weapons. Police found iron rods, ropes, and gloves purchased from a shop in a neighboring town. Sanjiv also studied the layout of the Poonia family's house, knowing exactly where each person's bedroom was. In Sonia's diary, police found a scribbled sentence, "If they don't leave us alone, we will silence everyone." This is considered evidence that the incident was planned in advance, not a spontaneous act. During this time, some of their relatives sensed danger. A relative once saw Sanjiv holding a metal rod in the car and jokingly asked, "Who are you going to hit?" Sanjiv just smiled and said nothing. A friend of Sonia's also warned, "You're playing with fire. Stay away from Poonia's house for a while." However, the Poonia family did not believe that something bad could happen. They still believed that blood relatives would never harm each other. That belief left no one prepared for the nightmare. According to Sonia's later testimony on the night of August 22, 2001, she and Sanjiv had a heated argument. Sonia hesitated, wanting to find another way to resolve the conflict with her family. But Sanjiv was so angry, believing that, if they didn't take action, they would both lose everything. At dawn, they decided to commit the crime together. The couple prepared carefully. An iron rod wrapped in tape to avoid leaving fingerprints. Black gloves, rope, and a small flashlight. They agreed to attack at dawn when the whole family was asleep. On the morning of August 23, 2001, an unprecedented tragedy in the history of Haryana would take place. But before entering the moment of the crime, a question that shocked the whole of India and has not been answered to this day. What could make a daughter decide to kill her parents, siblings, and innocent grandchildren with her husband? That night, resentment, greed, and despair blended into a fateful decision. That night, the town of Karkota was plunged into silence. The rice fields outside swayed in the wind, while in the large house of the Poonia family everyone was fast asleep. No one knew that, in a few minutes, an unprecedented tragedy would occur. At around 1:30 a.m., Sonia and Sanjiv's Hero Honda motorbike stopped in front of the gate. They had turned off the headlights from a distance to avoid being noticed. "Just for tonight. Later, we will have everything," Sanjiv whispered, his hand tightening on the iron rod wrapped in tape. Sonia just nodded, her eyes cold, without a trace of hesitation. The front gate had been unlocked in advance. Sonia later claimed to have copied the key during a visit home. The two walked silently across the wide courtyard, the shadows of the trees casting a patchy darkness. The air was thick, save for the chirping of insects. They turned off their flashlights, relying entirely on memory and the light of the faint moon. Sanjiv had memorized the bedrooms of each family member. His first target, Relu Ram's room. 1:45 a.m. The door to Relu Ram's parents' room opened slightly. Inside, Mr. Relu Ram and Mrs. Suman were fast asleep. Sanjiv walked lightly to the bed and raised the iron rod. Snap! The sound of metal hitting the skull rang out dryly. Relu Ram didn't have time to scream. Blood spilled onto the pillow. Mrs. Suman woke up with a start. Before she could understand what was happening, Sonia hit her temple with the rod. Her mumbled words were stuck in her throat. The couple collapsed immediately. In a few seconds, the peaceful room suddenly turned into a scene of death. Next was the eldest brother's room. He heard the noise, and just as he got up, Sanjiv rushed forward, hitting the stick straight into his face. The sound of broken bones mixed with a loud scream woke up the whole house. The little nephews cried out. The two remaining brothers ran out into the hallway. Before they could understand what was happening, Sonia attacked them from behind. Each blow was precise, brutal, aimed straight at the head and nape. "We have to finish quickly. No one will survive," Sanjiv screamed in a gasp. In just a few minutes, blood filled the hallway. The cries for help and the sound of iron sticks hitting flesh and bone created a terrifying, mournful melody. One of the two little nephews, a 6-year-old boy, woke up, hugging his teddy bear tightly, looking at Sonia with bewildered eyes. "Auntie Sonia, what's going on?" At that moment, Sonia stopped for a second. Her hands were shaking, her eyes were wandering. But Sanjiv's voice rang out from behind. "Don't hesitate. Leave no one alive." And then, a dry pop sounded. All was silent. This was the detail that made the Indian public extremely angry. An aunt, instead of protecting, attacked her own blood. Originally, Sonia and Sanjiv planned to stage the crime scene as a robbery. They rummaged through the closet, threw away clothes, opened the safe. They took some gold and cash to create a false trail. But they did not expect that the loud noise would attract the attention of the neighbors. At about 2:15 a.m., a man living 50 meters away heard faint screams and called the police. Knowing that their plan had been exposed, Sonia and Sanjiv hurriedly left the house through the back door. They left behind all the iron rods, gloves, and bloody shoes. The motorbike sped away into the darkness, leaving behind a house filled with the smell of blood and 8 lifeless bodies. At that moment, Sonia turned her head to look back for the last time. No one knew what she was thinking. Was it fear, regret, or relief? But whatever it was, the horrible truth could not be changed. According to the police report, 8 bodies were found in various locations. Master bedroom, Relu Ram and wife. Hallway, 2 brothers. Third room, 1 brother and his young son. Warehouse corner, an 8-year-old girl hiding. Living room, relatives. Long blood trails connecting the rooms, indicating that the victims tried to escape but no one survived. Around 2:30 a.m., the big house fell completely silent. The screams had stopped, leaving only the rattling of the ceiling fan. A prestigious family once admired by the entire town now turned into a battlefield. That night, blood ties were no longer the bond. Only hatred, greed, and despair remained, and... At around 2:15 a.m., Mr. Rajesh Malik, a neighbor who lives about 50 meters from the Poonia house, was sleeping when he heard a loud noise and some faint cries for help. At first, he thought it was a family argument like the previous times, but just a few minutes later, everything became strangely silent. I heard a sound like something heavy falling on the floor, then the screams of children. Then, complete silence. Rajesh Malik's statement to the police. Mr. Malik had a premonition that something was wrong and immediately called the police at 2:18 a.m. At around 2:35 a.m., a 6-man Karkota police team led by Inspector Vikram Singh arrived at the Poonia house. They found the main gate ajar, an unusual sight for a powerful family like Poonia. The stench of blood was coming from afar. I have never seen anything so horrible. Inspector Vikram Singh. As they entered, the police were stunned by the haunting scene in the living room. Blood trail from the stairs to the floor. Objects were strewn everywhere. The safe was open. The sound of the ceiling fan was heard, mixed with the strong smell of blood. When they opened the master bedroom door, they found Relu Ram and his wife Suman. He was lying on his side, his pillow covered in blood. Suman was clutching the hem of her nightgown, as if trying to shield herself from the fatal blow. Entering the hallway, the police discovered the two sons were lying face down with long bloodstains, indicating that they had tried to escape. In the third room, a 6-year-old boy was lying with a teddy bear in his arms, his eyes wide open but empty. In the corner of the warehouse, an 8-year-old girl was hiding behind a rice bin, but could not escape the fatal blow. I have been involved in hundreds of murder cases, but I have never seen such a horrifying scene, Inspector Singh recalled. A family was torn apart in a matter of minutes. When the police searched the entire house, they were surprised to find a relative, Mr. Rakesh Poonia, still alive in a coma due to a traumatic brain injury. He was immediately taken to Sonipat Hospital, 15 kilometers away. Later, Mr. Rakesh partially recovered his memory and said, "I saw Sonia standing near the stairs holding an iron rod. I also heard a man, who was definitely Sanjiv, shouting loudly, 'Let no one survive.'" This testimony became important evidence in identifying the main suspect. News of the massacre spread quickly throughout Karkota. Within hours, hundreds of people had surrounded Poonia's house. The heart-rending cries of relatives. The frightened whispers of neighbors. How could Sonia do this? A whole family died in one night. Many people could not believe it because Sonia was known to be a gentle, smiling girl. But the evidence at the scene and Mr. Rakesh's testimony immediately focused suspicion on Sonia and Sanjiv. During the investigation of the crime scene, the police found several important pieces of evidence. 3 iron rods stained with blood, leaving faint fingerprints. Black gloves and a blood-stained shoe were left behind. The safe door was opened, but most of the gold and cash were still intact, ruling out robbery. Inspector Singh immediately concluded, "This is a case of personal vendetta. The perpetrator must have been familiar with the layout of the house and knew exactly where the bedrooms were." On the morning of 23 August 2001, the police issued an urgent arrest warrant for Sonia Poonia and her husband Sanjiv Kumar. Their pictures were plastered all over major roads. Search teams were sent to bus stations, motels, and nearby towns. At the same time, the police sealed off the Haryana-Delhi border area to prevent them from escaping. At around 12 noon, Sonia and Sanjiv were arrested at a small motel on the outskirts of Sonipat while trying to find their way to Delhi. When handcuffed, Sonia did not resist. Her eyes were cold. Sanjiv, on the other hand, bowed his head and muttered a single sentence, "We have no way back." When news of Sonia's arrest broke, public opinion was shocked throughout Haryana. The press called it the bloodiest family massacre of the decade, when blood becomes enemies. The community raised a series of questions. Why did a once-loved girl kill both her parents and her young nephew? What caused a prestigious family to fall apart to this extent? Was it just a property dispute, or were there deeper secrets that had not been revealed? These questions will be answered during the investigation, where the police first revealed the shocking statements of Sonia and Sanjiv. On the morning of August 23, 2001, the Haryana forensic team and more than 20 police officers began their investigation. The goal? To find out the sequence of the crime, collect clues, and reconstruct the entire massacre. The scene showed that the perpetrator was very familiar with the house. There were no signs of breaking the door. Sonia used a duplicate key to open the gate. The bedrooms were attacked in order, from the parents to the brother, the nephew, and finally the guests. The weapon used in the crime: 3 iron rods about 70 centimeters long, weighing nearly 3 kilograms each. Blood analysis showed that the 2 perpetrators used them alternately. Another important detail: the time of the crime. According to estimates, the entire massacre took place in just 15 minutes. There were no signs of strong resistance, proving that the victims were attacked suddenly while sleeping. Forensic doctors at Sonia Civil Hospital conducted an autopsy on the same day. The results showed the main cause of death: severe traumatic brain injury due to a hard object. Some victims had 3 to 5 fatal blows to the head and nape. The wounds were uniform in direction and force, proving that the perpetrator attacked intentionally, not spontaneously. There were a few light scratches on Suman's hands, signs of unsuccessful attempts to defend herself. In particular, experts emphasized the perpetrator must have been in good health, had a cold mentality, and knew exactly how to attack the fatal weakness. This result reinforced the initial hypothesis. Sonia and Sanjiv had planned carefully before committing the crime. During the investigation, the police collected the following additional evidence. 1. Sonia's diary. In the drawer of the dressing table at Sonia's house, the police found a small notebook in which were scribbled, "If they don't accept us, we will make our own way, at any cost." Another page read, "No one has the right to take away what belongs to me. If they take it, I will demand it back." 2. Weapons receipt. 17 August 2001. Sonia and Sanjiv bought 3 iron rods from a mechanic shop in Rohtak town. 20 August 2001. They bought gloves, ropes, and black tape from a small shop near Delhi. 3. Call records. Analysis of the phone logs showed that in the 3 days before the incident, Sonia and Sanjiv called each other more than 40 times. The night of the crime, a 6-minute call was made at 1:15 a.m., just 15 minutes before they arrived at the scene. On 24 August 2001, Sonia was interrogated at the Sonia police station. Initially, she was completely silent. Her eyes were blank. But when confronted with DNA evidence, diaries, and survivor testimony, Sonia burst into tears and confessed everything. "I didn't want things to turn out like this, but I felt abandoned, humiliated. I asked my parents many times to understand my love, but they treated me like a stranger. And my brothers always threatened to take away all my rights. That night, I just thought that if they were gone, I would have everything, a love, property." Inspector Singh recorded in the minutes. Sonia cried, but she didn't seem to regret it. Her voice was calm, as if she was talking about a predetermined action. Sanjiv was colder than Sonia. He did not cry, did not avoid the police's eyes, and simply said, "I love Sonia, but her family considers me a lowly person. I have endured that humiliation for many years. If I do not take action, I will be looked down upon forever. I just want to show them that I am not weak." During the interrogation, Sanjiv insisted that he was the one who did it first, but the police concluded that both of them actively participated and that neither of them was forced. From the evidence and statements, the police reconstructed the course of the case. 1:30 a.m. Sonia and Sanjiv went to Poonia's house, opened the gate with a key. 1:45 a.m. They entered Relu Ram's room, delivered the first fatal blow. 1:48 a.m. The two moved to the brother's room, attacked continuously. 1:52 a.m. The child woke up, was attacked by Sonia after Sanjiv's urging. 1:55 a.m. They faked a robbery scene. 2 a.m. The screams alerted the neighbors. Sonia and Sanjiv fled. 12 p.m. The police arrested both of them at a guest house in Sonipat. The entire incident took place in just 35 minutes, but left a lasting impression on the entire Haryana community. Psychologists were invited to assess Sonia's mental state. The results showed that Sonia was not mentally ill. Her criminal behavior was calculated, logical, and planned. The main motives: property disputes, injury to honor, and fear of abandonment. However, experts noted that Sonia had a tendency to obsess over her own self-worth, which made her unable to accept being rejected by her family. When the details of the confession were made public, the whole of India was shocked. The newspapers ran headlines: Sonia Poonia, the cold-blooded daughter of Haryana. 8 lives, a family secret, and a love that was denied. People were divided into 2 camps. One side strongly condemned Sonia and Sanjiv, calling them cold-blooded monsters. The other side argued that the pressure of honor and family conflicts had pushed them to the brink. On February 15, 2004, after more than 2 years of investigation, the Sonipat Magistrates Court officially opened the trial of Sonia Poonia and her husband Sanjiv Kumar. The courtroom was packed with people, from the press, television, to local residents. This is not just a murder case. This is the biggest family tragedy that Haryana has ever witnessed. Chief Public Prosecutor Rajiv Sharma. The prosecution charged the 2 defendants with the following crimes: premeditated murder, Section 302 of the Indian Penal Code; conspiracy to murder, Section 120B; unlawful entry, Section 452. The prosecution stressed Sonia and Sanjiv meticulously planned, procured weapons, chose the timing, and killed 8 people, including 2 children. This is the most brutal crime in the history of Haryana. In court, Sonia spoke publicly for the first time. She cried in front of the television cameras, but her voice remained calm. "I never wanted to kill my mother, but they pushed me to the limit. I just wanted to be accepted by my parents, to have a share of their property. But they cut everything off from me," and Sanjiv said, "If we didn't do that, we would have nothing." This statement silenced the courtroom for a few seconds, but the prosecutor immediately retorted, "No one was forced to use an iron rod to beat 8 people to death, including a child. This was not an act of anger. This was a planned murder." Sanjiv was different. He did not cry, did not tremble, looked straight at the court and said, "I do not regret. I have been humiliated too much. If I could do it again, I would do the same." This cold statement was published on the front page of the press the next day, calling Sanjiv the cold-blooded killer of Haryana. Rakesh Poonia, the only surviving relative, appeared in court. He had difficulty walking and was left with visible scars from the fatal blow. In a choked voice, he said, "I saw Sonia. She was standing near the stairs, holding a stick. I called her name but got no response. Then I saw Sanjiv, and a blow to the head knocked me down." His testimony became the key piece of evidence, strengthening the entire case against Sonia and Sanjiv. On 5 May 2004, the Sonipat Magistrate Court sentenced Sonia Poonia, death; Sanjiv Kumar, death. Judge Deepak Arora read the verdict in a heavy voice. "This is a rare case, brutal and far beyond social norms. The 2 accused have killed their own parents, siblings, and nephews. The court sentenced them to death to demonstrate the strictness of the law." After the verdict, Sonia's defense attorney filed an appeal in the Haryana High Court. The defense argued Sonia was mentally disturbed due to family pressure. Sanjiv incited and controlled Sonia's mind, forcing her to participate. Requested to reduce the death sentence to life imprisonment. On 17 July 2007, the Haryana High Court partially accepted the appeal, reducing the sentence of both to life imprisonment. It seemed that everything was settled. but the Haryana state prosecutor appealed to the Supreme Court of India. The trial lasted for months, with the participation of the most senior judges. On 8 February 2013, the Supreme Court of India delivered its final verdict. The death penalty was restored for both Sonia and Sanjiv. Reasons: the crime was meticulously planned. 8 lives, including those of children, were brutally murdered. The perpetrators showed no remorse, especially Sanjiv. In the verdict, Justice P. Sathasivam wrote, "This is one of those rare cases that falls under the category of rarest of rare. That is, the level of brutality is extremely severe. There can be no mercy." The death sentence sparked great controversy. One side supported the sentence, arguing that the court had been fair to 8 innocent lives. The other side sympathized with Sonia, arguing that she had been oppressed by her family and forced into a corner. Many prominent articles at the time carried the headline, "Justice for the Poonia family or the end of a lost child? Sonia's death sentence, the right choice or the wrong choice?" By the end of 2013, the President of India had rejected the clemency application. Both Sonia and Sanjiv were transferred to Tihar prison, one of India's highest security prisons, to await execution. The case was closed, but its echoes haunted the people of Haryana for years to come. Sonia Poonia's name became a symbol of betrayal, and the Poonia house lay abandoned, its rusty gates a sad reminder of a once powerful family. The Poonia family's large house, once a symbol of success, now has only cold walls. The rusty iron gate, peeling paint, and overgrown grass in the yard. Neighbors said that after the incident, no one dared to stay there. At night, looking into that house, I still hear the echoes of children's cries. A Karkota resident. The place that once contained the laughter of 3 generations is now only a trace of sadness. A powerful, wealthy, and respected family was destroyed overnight. If we look deeper into the case, it is not only a brutal murder, but also a family tragedy. A father who puts honor and power above the happiness of his daughter. Sons who are blinded by greed for wealth. A girl who feels abandoned and rejected chooses the path of crime to reclaim what she believes is justice. This is clear evidence that, when family love is replaced by pride, control, and greed, the family will disintegrate from within, even before a tragedy occurs. In Indian society, especially in states like Haryana, family honor and clan power are paramount. Sonia fell in love with Sanjiv, but that love was not accepted. She and her husband were looked down upon by their families, excluded from inheritance, leading to a long chain of psychological trauma. But despite the protests, nothing can justify the crime. 8 lives, including 2 innocent children, were taken away. A family was torn apart, a clan buried in pain. Sonia and Sanjiv paid with their lives. Justice was eventually served, but there was no victory in this case, because in the end, everyone lost everything. The Poonia Murders case reminds us of the value of dialogue, understanding, and love in the family. Parents, listen to and respect your children's choices instead of focusing on pride and control. Children, when conflicts arise, choose dialogue instead of hatred. Society, we need to recognize the issue of family honor and traditional pressure as a potential cause of many tragedies. If that day, the Poonia family had sought dialogue instead of severing ties, if Sonia and Sanjiv had sought legal help instead of choosing violence, perhaps 8 lives would not have been lost, and a family would not have been forever broken. At the conclusion of the case, Justice P. Sathasivam of the Supreme Court of India left behind a quote that has been repeated in the press for many years. "In the battle of honor and greed, the winners never really win. The greatest loss is the love of family." The Poonia Murders case has come to an end, but it remains a warning to all of us. Love, once broken, will push people to unimaginable limits. Greed, pride, and hatred, if not resolved, can turn relatives into enemies, turn a home into hell. If you find this story valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to follow real cases, family tragedies, and profound messages of life that we will explore together. Please share this video so that more people can see the value of family love before it's too late.